Sorry about that. Let me swap this over here. Make sure this is not on 4K. All right, there we go. Give me 1 second here. Sorry, I was getting set up. What's going on, everybody? All right. Pull up the chat. Let's get this sucker set up. Mic check, mic check. Let's turn the music down a little. Get that audio level sitting right. All right. What is going on? I hope everyone's doing well. Welcome, everybody. Sonny Kim, Southern Fly Guy. Everybody on YouTube and Twitch, I hope everybody's doing well. Let me just move that mic. There we go. So we got to tie some sand fleas. Let me actually pump this light up a little bit. So we're going to be tying some smaller stuff. Local fly shop or tackle shop asked if I could tie some sand flea imitations. So I got to figure out what materials I'm going to order. Also, I'm wearing like a new headset. I got a new headset from Amazon on Prime Day. It was like some cheap Chinese, knockoff headset, but it's like over ears. And it's after using those earbuds where one ear wasn't working. It's kind of crazy to like hear in high fidelity. But yeah, we're going to try and figure out how I want to tie these sand fleas. And I got to order some materials anyway for a bunch of different stuff. But I've been working on over here off screen a bunch of rooster muddlers for a guide for some striper fishing. So I got that. Surf candies. I got stuff for local places. Just did some flies for a local person as well who's going fishing. But yeah, sand fleas. So there's a couple different ways that I would approach tying sand flies, and that would be synthetics, kind of like a classic crab fly. Our V-tie crab fly is very well suited for sand fleas, so we're definitely going to start with that, and that's maybe what we'll go with. But there's also South Fork Salt has a great video on tying jigs for this, but there's also kind of a classic sand flea fly from back in the day with deer hair as well, and the deer hair helps spin the fly over. So we're going to be using weighted eyes, and we're going to be either using natural or synthetic materials. So had a long discussion today with some buddies about the lack of sand fleas on the island. Oh yeah, up in Massachusetts there. We get them. I mean, we have a lot of sand fleas. I haven't been to the beach this year. I plan on going actually pretty soon just to go swimming because it's been so nice. But the Holly Molly he has. What's going on, Jabe? How you doing? Great tutorial. So we'll start with the V-tie crab fly because that's just pretty much a regular crab fly but V-tied instead of figure eight tied, if you will. So we're gonna grab some of this tan EP fiber here, and we really, here's a good idea. Let's look up what a sand flea looks like so we can get some good inspiration. It can be kind of somewhat generic though. It doesn't have to be exactly perfect. So if we take a look at sand fleas, white bellies, tan tops, sometimes if they have eggs, they have orange on the belly. But essentially either white or tan. It could be a mix. So we could probably tie them in white as well. But you find these, essentially what will happen is they're a little crustacean or flea-like creature that lives in the sand, and when the water washes down, the sand fleas will get washed out of the sand and into the troughs, and the bass will eat them. Holy moly fly and the jig pattern, yep. So, which is, you know, that I'm sure he based Tim based that off of you know. I remember seeing some sand flea type flies back in the day in different books. So he applied like some freshwater style techniques almost, if you will, right, for some sort of fly. But so this is what we're imitating. They're fairly light. They do have some orange though, so I have an idea. And if you look at them, essentially just like a shell is really what it is. Hey, Brew. Yo, thank you for the 66 months. Let's get a round of applause. Thank you, my friend. I like gray tan mix for the backs. Yeah, that's a nice color combo. I'm working with what I got color wise, so that's what we're gonna use. But I think we can keep it simple. We don't have to go too crazy with the colors, right? We can keep it simple. This could be a simple fly. Also, we got the we're picking the YouTube comment winner from the sand eel surf candy video, so we got to do that later. But let's start with the V-tie crab fly. We're looking for a roundish body, right, with a shell, if you will. Probably a size 1 hook would be appropriate for something like this. You know, I'm not really going to be I'm going to use what I have on these, but I'm going to start just going with Gamakatsu big games from now on. It's more expensive, but so probably like a size 1 or a 1-odd, because they do get pretty big, but I think a size 1 should be appropriate. Hot spot orange, yep. You know, we're gonna add a little bit of flair to it. It may, like, I don't know if this will be 100% anatomically correct, but we can add our own flair to it for sure. So this is all pretty much cut up already too. Some of it's a little lawn, so I'm gonna take this lawner stuff, put it off to the side. And we are trying to achieve like a shell almost. So almost all the material is going to be tied on the underside of the hook, because we want this to swim hook point up so it doesn't dull the hook point. So we're going to be using some sort of lead eyes to help flip it over, right? And whether it's lead eyes or whatever sort of eyes that we have, and the material being tied on the belly, and then we're going to apply resin on the belly, on the underside technically, because this will be the top. That'll help flip the whole thing over, the material as well. So these are just like prototypes, because essentially I need to get like the right size hooks and eyes, or the right size eyes. So let me see what I got too. Ideally I would just be using either, they do sell tan or orange eyes. I'll probably go with orange for these in particular. But you can just go with straight lead, like unpainted eyes is what I would use. The number one thing you don't necessarily want to use is really bright and shiny eyes. Because, I'm looking, I thought I had more eyes, don't I? Because, ideally, reading Alan Kaleo's book, you want, as little shine on the hooks as possible. Especially when it comes to sight fishing. So he used to actually take dull nail polish and apply it to the hooks and the eyes.
5 years already.
Hey, Bujika, thank you for the 61 months, my friend. Very kind to you. Get some LI Flies hearts in the chat, or whatever emotes you got. Thank you, my friend. Appreciate that. Time flies, eh? So I do have some other sizes, but we'll just go ahead and use these. Thank you, though, my friend. That's very kind of you. Very, very kind. How you been? What have you been up to? I also have some orange, so we're probably going to use some of this. I know I took out these other eyes. Oh, here we go. let's start with these ones. So ideally, something like this that's really polished and shiny, you would go down to you go down to Rite Aid or somewhere, and you'd go into the nail polish section and look for like a dull tan or some sort of dull nail polish color, and you apply it to the shiny parts of either the hooks, like these Gamakatsu's SL12S's. I think you'd be all right with these darker finishes. But building Tesla warehouse, very cool. So we're gonna take our thread, and you know, I'll probably use mono for this, but I'm just gonna stick with the 210 denier because that's what's in my bobbin right now, and I'm being lazy. So actually, let me back this up slightly because I'm gonna end up moving that vise like this. I always end up moving the vise towards me, and that's just like the most comfortable thing. So become very conscious with that from filming over the years, and have to be aware of it. But how's everybody doing? I hope everyone's doing well. Everyone's been having a good week. So we're going to take our dumbbell eyes here and tie these. And we're going to tie them pretty close. We can go a little bit back because in the front we're going to be tapered down quite a bit. And I don't necessarily know if I want the eyes there. So the thing is, if you put the eyes further to the front, you'll get a more aggressive jigging action. But I find you'll also at times have a little bit of a harder time flipping the hook over. So if you put the eyes just a little bit further back, it seems to help to flip the hook over while still having a good jigging motion. So that's what we're gonna do. Little trick, you do the helicopter move around it. Once you do that, you'll see a noticeable difference in how tight it is. So these are pretty light eyes as well. So we'll tie 2 of these with these lighter eyes. I'm going to go to the beach soon, and I want to try them out, to be honest with you. I want to do some sight fishing as well. I tied a bunch of like merkins or V-ties for a customer of mine, and he went and caught some fish. So I was like, dude, I gotta go do some like crab fly fishing because it's impossible to like sight fish from shore. Just in general, it's so tough sight fishing straight bass. It's really, really tough. You need like super clear water, and even then, it's just hard seeing them in general. But so I have these orange and black, and I have orange silly legs. So I was thinking we tie just a couple of these dangling off the back, not too far, but just a little bit to get a little bit of, you know, trying to entice a fish to eat. So the way we probably do that is from underneath. We'll have like 4 of them. We'll just take this, excuse me, cut it like in half, and then tie it off either side, like so. Just like that. That should work. Just have a little bit of something. Now the other thing we could do we want to use like all synthetic? I also have tan marabou. So we could take tan marabou, but like let's try it. I think we'll probably just want to use the synthetic for ease of use, but what we could do is just take a little bit of marabou and have this like that. We could just take it real easy, like just tie it on here. Just pull the tip out. Yeah, let's do that. I don't know, I don't necessarily always like mixing like EP fiber and naturals, for instance, but let's see. And I don't want this, you know, we'll have it like to where those rubber legs are just sticking out the back just a little bit. And I'm tying the marabou all on top. So pretty much all the material is going to be tied on top, which will help facilitate this swimming with the hook point up. So the underside's pretty much going to be bare. And then what I do is at the end, I take UV resin and I coat all of this, and it's going to catch all that material on the underside of the hook and just make it more durable and add some more weight. What you could do is you could add lead wire, stuff like that. But how's it going, Cozy? I hope you're doing well. Hope you're having a good Friday. Alright, so now we have a transition from the natural to the synthetic, or from the rubber legs. And all we're going to do here is V-tie. Now we want it to be the widest and the tallest, like in the middle. And it's going to taper down on either side. So we'll start with shorter material in the back and shorter material in the front. And in the middle, we're going to go longer. We're trying to achieve. Really, the number one thing that we're dealing with here is trying to get the right profile. Now that marabou is going to thin down a lot in the water, so we don't got to worry about that. We're essentially just trying to imitate the shape of the mole crab as best as possible. It doesn't need to be picture perfect. We can get that shape as best as possible, and then the bass will more than likely eat it if you're presenting it properly, right? Because you could take one that's like looks scientifically 1-to-1, and then one that's like a general imitation. If you present them the same way, I'm guaranteeing you they'll both get eaten equally just as well. But we like to make our flies still look kind of cool. So one thing to consider is applying a little bit of orange underneath for like to imitate the eggs. Because if you've ever seen them, I used to like catch these things when I was a kid. You can take a small amount for the belly here, and we can add a little bit of orange like that, just a very small amount like that, because we don't want to add too much material. If we add too much material to the underside, it'll inhibit the hook flipping over, right? This is the thing, once you fly tied enough over time, like, this isn't a tried and true pattern of mine, but I mean, I guess the V-tie crab is, but like the mole crab variation. But you can work out in your head what you need to do and the steps that you need to take to get into the destination and get as close as possible. You know what I mean? Like okay, we can work with some sort of material, build the shape. And I can just use this fly, for instance, this V-tie as like kind of like, okay, this is a pretty good starting point, and then we can modify it, for instance. So now I want to start adding longer material. So something like this, for instance. And we don't need to be too shy. We're not imitating a crab, we're imitating the mole crab or the sand flea, so we're not imitating a regular crab, I should say. We are looking for quite a profile top, like the shell wise, right? So again, V-tie, you just tie it off set like that, and we fold it back. And I think the V-tie is probably, the V-tie crab instead of like American is like the preferred way to do this, because you really get that kind of raised shell, if you will, right? You can really kind of achieve, and we'll take a tiny bit of the orange for the belly. What's going on, Hayes? How you doing? And I think just a couple legs off the back is nice. If we really wanted to get fancy, I could tie a couple more legs. I'm thinking practically for how I'm going to tie these commercially, right? So the other thing is I want to gauge some interest, but I got to look into it, but I can't talk too much. I mean, this is probably not going to happen, but I had like an opportunity. Somebody I worked with for a really long time was like almost offering like for me to take over on this business or something, and it was a crazy opportunity, but unfortunately financially it's probably not going to happen. But I'm not going to say any specifics or anything, but that made me start thinking. I'm like, well, you know, I was thinking too for a while, like I got to do another website, but instead of just selling flies, like what if I actually branch out into like starting a mini fly shop and specializing in just like saltwater fly tying and stuff like that. So potentially like getting a the proper business licensing, and then getting a deal or getting an account with a, you know, like Hairline or something, for instance. So the Li Flies Mike, you know, .com fly shop essentially. So I gotta look into some stuff and whatnot, but having that one potential opportunity pop up, I'm like, well, you know, I've been thinking about starting another website and doing it properly at some point here, but you know, the opportunity would be nice, but not being able to do that one thing is making me think like, well, man, I should probably like try and do my own thing then, you know what I mean? So it's something I gotta look into, but there's a good chance that I may go down that route. So I gotta see though. Start off like super small, and a ton, of course, ton of flies, stuff like that. But I also want to like sell some materials and stuff like that. Potentially, maybe even, I don't know if I want to go that route, but maybe even rods, because we work with Rise Fly Rod Co. We could potentially go down that route. That's always something to think about, maybe in the future. But so that's kind of what I've been milling over, and you know, working on someone in the background. I think I might start looking into it more seriously though. So, but I would definitely need to gauge the interest of everyone. Because that would be definitely an investment, you know what I mean, a big step. So we're just gonna V-tie, finish here. We'll go with a little bit more orange in the front. But this is essentially what we're working with. Now we could trim this if we want. I don't even think we need to. I think this is, I mean, you want it to swim. You do, I mean, you do want it to sink properly. So maybe we thin it out ever so slightly. But I mean, this is kind of like the perfect profile, right? You know what I mean? This is like the shape and everything. So, what's going on, Jin? How you doing, man? Hope you're doing well. Man, it's crazy having good headphones. They're not even that crazy, but it's just like not junk from 20 years ago headphones. It's wild. I can hear everything. Yeah, so this will probably be the video on Sunday, by the way, is a sand flea. I mean, that's pretty darn good right there. We're going to get a better look at it here in a sec, brush it out. But let's put some UV resin on the belly. And, you know, let's go with a tiny bit of orange at the front. Just a small amount here underneath. Just for, like, some bugginess, you know what I mean? We could maybe do one more V-tie, but it's probably all right. Good hair, a good pair of Sennheisers. Well, now you're talking name brand. Mine's like number 10 Super headphones or something. I had a really nice pair of like Sony studio headphones for like music that I used for so long, but it also had like a 10-foot cord that I ran over the years, so it went bad. And I actually kind of like the marabou off the back. I'm not going to lie. That little bit of marabou, I think is... Oh, sorry. You couldn't even see me brushing it, but that's all right. You get the glory shot. The runway shot at the end. I mean, that's kind of just what we're working with here, right? I mean, this is going to be getting tossed around in the surf. What we are going to do is UV resin the belly here. I guess what we could do is like lightly trim it. But I mean, that's kind of it. I mean, it's all about really the amount of material you tie. I mean, I think that's heavy enough that that's going to sink properly. It's definitely going to flip over because of how we tied the fly in general. Let's apply some resin to the belly. I gotta order the materials. They'll probably get here soon anyway from Saltwater Flies, but... Tying a gotcha? Nah, V-tie crab, mole crab. This is my little V-tie pattern. And again, I don't know if it's original, but I know Merkins and everything, they're tied differently with figure 8 style. We do a V-tie because I'm lazy. But we're able to build up that profile really nice for that shell-like appearance, right? This is essentially how I tie all of my crab flies. I have a video on a green crab that we tie like this. Except what you could do is you could tie rubber legs off the sides as you go, right? And thin down the amount of material as well. But yeah, another advantage of essentially having like my own online fly shop and getting materials is that get them at a great price for myself, which is one of the biggest things. So I'm gonna have to look into it. I'm just going to take some resin here and apply this on the belly. This is going to help flip the fly over, but it's also going to make it durable and keep that material kind of splayed out on the side. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I'm going to have to think about it, look into it. Probably end up doing another Wix website or something, but I'd have to spend a bunch of time like building it, which no matter what, I'm going to have to do that. But I got to figure out, like, probably got to, like, talk to my accountant and stuff and, like, figure out taxes and, what sort of licensing and things like that. You know what I mean? Let's hit this with the light for a bit. I mean, this is, like, how can you get any better than this for just mole crabs, right? It's not rocket science, this sort of fly. Liddles or Liddell's the best, are they? I know Sennheisers are really good. Just depends what sort of application you're using as well. Like gaming's completely different to like mixing audio for music versus, you know, I don't know, the best listening to music or movie experience for headphones, for instance, or something. So, I mean, that's pretty much it. The resin helps flip it over as well. So, I like to do a little flip test to make sure it at least flips somewhat okay. You could probably get the profile maybe a little bit better, but I mean, that's kind of... Nothing wrong with that right there. So really just nice and simple. I think this will work perfectly fine. I should just go down to the beach here one of these days and go fish one of the troughs. You know what I mean? And if we, you know, again, the rubber legs aren't necessarily like perfectly accurate. They do have legs, but it's more, their profile is kind of more like this. But I just stuck that little bit of marabou in those little rubber legs just to kind of like get the attention. They're still fish, you know what I mean? They're not like marine biologists. So adding some things to also entice a bite you know, I feel like stuff like that still helps, you know, those having like little orange hot spots sticking out the back or something like that, and undulating in the surf. So, all right. Well, this is probably how I'm actually going to tie it for this shop, because it's nice and simple, really nice and simple. But there is another way, which is going to make a hell of a lot more of a mess, and that's with deer hair. So we could do that as well. But before we do that, let's tie another one with these synthetics. But I'm trying to think, like, what could we do to maybe... I'm going to tie it in white as well. Or like white and tan mix, maybe, or something. No, we'll just do it in straight white, because some of them are really light in color. You know what I mean? So I think you can get away with using a white one. Plus, white in general just works for straight bass. Grab another hook here. Fluorescent thread. Yeah, you could use like an orange thread, right? Or like a, you could even use like tan. I might just use mono, but I like using this 210 denier for durability over a mono, but... Yeah, I don't have any fancy threads, so I'm just using what I got. But we could definitely, you know... We could go down that route if we want. The other thing is, there's one other way I was thinking about doing this. So let's try it. And this is a little bit more to the extreme. This isn't necessarily practical either, but I think it could be fun. Natural orange brown with fluorescent pink legs and some pink dubbing on the underbelly and pink thread on the head. Yeah, exactly. You can pick and choose. They do have a ton of pink on them too. You can pick and choose however you like to do it. So this one we're gonna move. No, we'll keep the eyes same spot. Do the wrap around the helicopter, secure it. This time we'll use black and orange legs. So you just grab one, you cut it in half, because again, we don't need this to be long in general. You go back here. Just kind of want this to be tied like that. We just want them to be like this in the surf, essentially. Marabou. Yes. Oh, we're doing white this time as well, aren't we? We are. I guess we could have used like tan legs or something, or pinkish white legs, but whatever, it doesn't matter. I got my marabou here for these roosterfish flies. You know what? I'm not even going to use marabou right now. This is marabou, so this is what we're going to use, because we don't even need it to be long, and I'm not using this, so this is actually kind of perfect. So we just take a nice bunch like this. Have it so about 1/3 of those rubber legs is sticking out. So just like that for a little bit of motion. Again, marabou in the water is going to be like either completely slimmed down or it's going to have a ton of action to it. So we're looking pretty good. And now I'll grab some of this EP fiber I have. Now there's one thing I want to do different here. And you'll see. It is going to be considerably different than what we did in the last one. So I'm just going to cut this in different lengths, starting pretty short and then go longer. Because I don't need too much for myself, but... There you go. Cut that. So we're going to introduce something else into the mix. This is what I'm thinking. What if we like palmer, we do a palmer, tie it off, pull back, V-tie. We do a palmer, pull it off, V-back. You know, do it like that. It's going to add way more steps to it, but let's try this. So essentially something like this. I'm just curious whether or not it will inhibit it from turning over easily. You know what I mean? So now we go like this, V-tie on top, starting off really short, or fairly short. Then we're going to start increasing the length pretty drastically here. Mainly use hot plank, God, I can't even talk, my mouth's dry, hold on. I mainly use fluorescent hot pink, fluorescent chartreuse, fluorescent orange. I like fluorescent. If I don't use fluorescent, I like to go gray, like grizzly hackle, but I fish for trout, mackerel, and garfish, yeah. But overall, the color profiles and patterns are they can apply to many different marine species, not just like for something in Northern Europe versus something in South America. Like, you know, generally, I mean, there are differences, but a lot of bait fish, when it comes to like silvery bait fish and things and how they're, you know, a lot of that stuff can apply to many different fish all over the world. You'll see a lot of similarities in color profiles and patterns across fish from all over the place because that's just how like kind of nature is. So all that stuff definitely applies. Like, believe me, we love you know me, I love using pink on flies for striped bass. Oh, I should have. My bad. I'm supposed to do another wrap before, because every V-tie we're gonna move forward, do a wrap, and then we tie it off. Then we tie our material, and I think we should go somewhat heavy on the material this time. Because we kind of want to cover up that orange on top, but have it peeking out underneath the carapace, if you will. Which is going to be this EP fiber. This is where I almost feel like adding lead wire underneath the ESTAZ would be nice. Yeah, you do a lot of shrimp tying over there for sea trout and stuff like that in general. Well, there's something to be said about fluorescent colors. There's also something to be said about certain colors and how they look at certain depths and things like that. We've had this discussion before. Certain colors at certain depths, when we're getting down to like 40, 50, 60 feet, they literally just become like gray or like brownish. You know, they dull out when certain colors still retain their overall color profile, because it's just how light refracts through the water and how our eyes perceive things and fish's eyes perceive things. That's why there's something to be said about yellow and chartreuse, because at depth they still look like yellow and chartreuse and not like gray, essentially like a brownish gray or something, a very dull color. Which colors like red, you know, will do that at those depths. So you could find like divers with color palettes at depth, and you'll see like what I'm talking about if you Google it. It's pretty interesting. I'm sure somebody who took some sort of biology class or some sort of doctor of the eyes, I can't even remember what the profession's called, could explain it better, but you get the idea. Is it ornithology? No, that's your ears or bones or something, right? No, I don't know. Who knows? It's all a mystery. So we're gonna wrap one more time here. Yeah, this will probably be the video on Sunday, is a sand flea fly, whatever one I'm happy with. I'm going to go swim these, though, and make sure they swim proper and this and that. This is the extra version. If you want to go, you want to get extra. Get all fancy. I mean, dude, that orange is gonna be like glistening underneath. That looks sick. Fluorescent red is in for deep waters. Fluorescent green's to punch really well. It's the light waves and things. Yeah, it's those things, you know? Those things. Do we dare do like a figure 8 here? No. Too fancy. This is where I'm gonna tie this off. I do like this though. This is kind of nice. It is kind of fancy. I have to add an extra $1 for that ESTAZ though. Time is money. But yeah, wouldn't that be nice though? Just getting a giant roll of ESTAZ. Oh, this is that animal revolt battle simulator song that we found. It was our version of the Goro Goro song that Djibouti Show uses when we were doing channel point bets. We'll go with one more tie here. So if you're like, what? It was like some game on Steam where you could like, it was a simulation game where you could just, it was like an open white, you know, area. And you could get like a giant ape to fight a prehistoric crocodile. And then just have them go at it or something. But it was very janky. And I completely stole the idea from Djibouti Show. But, yeah, that was a lot of fun. Because Twitch has like a way of like betting imaginary channel points that you earn from watching over time. And if you learn one thing, the internet loves gambling. For sure. I actually kind of like this in white. I'm not gonna lie. I've seen them very like gray, like Southern Fly Guy was talking about. Yeah, you could have like dinosaurs, and then you could put laser beams and like guns on them. So we were putting like giant laser beams on dinosaurs, the stego and stuff. Yeah, that was a while ago. That had to have been at least 3 years ago, I feel like. But maybe it was just a couple years ago. I don't know. Time flies when you get old. Yeah. Dude, I'm not gonna lie. This might be like the, should we call this the Eli Flies mole crab? Is this an original, like, you know, with the ESTAZ wrapped on there? The marabou, the rubber legs. Is this like a different enough that I should call this like make this an original pattern? I kind of like it. I feel like the ESTAZ might kind of add a little pizzazz to it. I don't know if you want it, but... Yo, what's going on, Worm? How you doing? How you been? You been doing any more fishing? He came out and did some fishing. I locked my keys in the car. I broke into my Suburban using my fly rod. Call it a mole fly, as in the mole with the E. Is that pronounced mole? Like, or isn't that mole? Or mole, like the Mexican, like, sauce? Freshwater mostly? Okay. The mole fly. The Li flies, mole fly. Okay. Cool. We'll sell the idea to, what's it called? Let me write it down. And I'll give you 25 cents. Surgeon. Not per fly, just 25 cents. But put you in the, like, notable mentions. Li flies, mole fly. Like the sauce. Mole crab. Should we just call it the mole fly or the mole crab fly? So, we'll tie another one with tan then, because we have to get prototypes. And then what I'll do is I'll give it to my buddy Timmy or something. I'll have him, the South Fork Salt dude. I'll be like, oh, use these. So we should try a deep version, a heavily weighted version. So we'll put lead wire on the inside of the next one. The mole crap. Mole. It is mole. Or mole. Mole. Yeah. Mole, 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 mole. Like Austin Powers when he was, he couldn't contain himself when that one dude from that one show in the 90s that I used to watch every day. Yeah. So you know, the nice thing about it is you get that kind of orange underneath. You know what I mean? Mole, 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 crab fly. The Li flies, mohawk crap fly. Does anyone fly fish Florida? Of course, Black Sheep. How's it going? It's an extremely popular place to fly fish. We have some folks in the community that are from there. Some that moved from up north. I'm moving down there permanently from NA East. Where are you moving to, the East Coast or the West Coast? Because what, on the West Coast of Florida, you have the, what the hell is that called? That area. Jeez, why is it blanking right now? What the hell is the name of that body of water on the West Coast of Florida? Why am I having a brain fart right now? You got the East Coast, Atlantic, right? Right on the water. What's the name of the Gulf? Thank you. The Gulf. On the Gulf side, you have amazing red fishing, things like that as well. Yes, the Gulf. Thank you. Oh yeah, dude. I've been to St. Augustine. Is fantastic, but all over Florida you have fantastic freshwater and saltwater fly fishing. Freshwater, peacock bass, largemouth bass, and you're set, right? But saltwater is where it's really at. Tarpon, snook, redfish, speckled trout, bluefish. I mean, the list goes on. Jacks, right? If you go further south, you got bonefish and all that. But what you're going to be doing on the West Coast there is primarily probably redfish and like speckled trout, which is awesome. So, yeah, no, you're gonna have a sick time. It's gonna be hot. I don't think I could live down there permanently. I've had the opportunity to move down there with past girlfriends. I was like, nope. But it's a great place to go. But if you can handle the heat, I just can't. Then you're gonna love it. It's gonna be sick. The fishing's fantastic, dude. It's probably some of the best saltwater fly fishing you can do is like that style of fly fishing. It's fishing in Florida and fishing the bays and even because even the ocean there, you know, the Gulf, it's not like super crazy. It's not like fishing the beaches here where it gets super rough. It's like 5-6 foot waves, you know what I mean? You can get that down in Florida, but the beaches are a lot calmer at times, especially on the Gulf side, where you can actually, you'll get like tarpon and things like that on the beach. Fishing club in Rhode Island? Yeah, I mean, Rhode Island is fantastic. Is that where you're from originally? Yeah, I mean, I love my East Coast fishing. It's what I grew up doing, you know, striped bass fishing, bluefish, and all that. But that wouldn't be a bad place to change of scenery for sure. Smallmouth in New York reservoirs, nice. Just get a cap with a little battery fan on it. No, you need a cap with an AC unit on top. Gulf, Boca Grande, yep. All right, so we're going to take a little break here because I need to go grab another drink and just stretch real quick my back. We're going to tie another one of these in tan with the ESTAZ because it's going to be a future prototype fly here. And then we'll go ahead and tie essentially like the deer hair variation, my take on like what South Fork Salt was tying. So from New Jersey, but my father always took me fishing in New York in the Bronx and the reservoir outside the city. Oh, very cool. Very cool. We used to go to upstate New York and fish not too far outside of the city, up in the Hudson River Valley, places like that. Nice. Yeah, you've been up there. I've been up in Altmar. We've done steelheading, which is so much fun, but I tie a lot with a fluorescent dot on it. Li flies, mole crap. You and fluorescent. I'm glad you're a big proponent of fluorescent. All right, we're going to take a quick little break here, play our Albi highlight. When we get back, we're going to tie a couple more takes on the mole crabs. But I got to tie another one of these in tan like this because this is like, you know, maybe we can get 25 cents from Umpqua after 10 years of them selling 2 of these or something. No, honestly, it's been a while since I've like named a fly and come up with one. We have the mullet marauder, and that's really it because, you know, it's very hard to actually be original. And somebody's probably done something like this. But I was like, what if we take the ESTAZ, we wrap it like that? I don't know any mole crab flies in specific like this or crab flies with a ESTAZ like that. So we'll call it the Li Flies mole fly. There you go. Mole fly. Thanks to Jen. So we're going to take a quick little break, and I'll be back here in a couple minutes, all right? Yeah, dude. Yeah, dude. Stay tight, all right? Yeah, keep it tight. Yeah, dude. Yeah, he did. Knuckle buster. Are you good? Do you need me to do anything?
Yeah, I might need a ride. Yes.
Okay. Hold on, I'm gonna turn now.
I'm gonna try and get on the bow.
Yeah, get on the bow. All right, you're doing good. Keep doing your thing. I'm gonna move us away.
Is that a little one?
No, that's a nice one.
Oh, let's go!
Come here, hold next to our alley. Good job.
That's sick.
All right. Nice.
Let's go! Woo! Albi slap!
Good job, dude.
Yee yee yee!
Looking down the barrel of a 12 gauge little toonie, bro. On the Albi door too.
Oh my god, dude! What the fuck? Woohoo! Oh my god. Yep. Oh my god! I gotta turn the boat so I can cast. Oh my god, dude! Alright, get back to catching him, Diego.
You're gonna get one now. There's a shark.
Frigates!
Albi?
Frigates.
Frigate.
Whoa! Whoa!
All right, we're back. Hold on, I got to. My bad. I had to turn the camera off just to be safe because sometimes it overheats during the summer. I had the AC pumping for a sec. Oh yeah, we got cinder worms. Oh yeah. Yeah, I got on one recently. I caught some nice fish. I had one fish, like the biggest one was like 33 this year, or 32 inches. No, it was more like 30 inches. The previous year we had one that was pretty nice. It was like 33 inches. One of my buddies had like a 20-pound fish this year on a cinder worm hatch or worm spawn. Yeah, the one I usually happens for me in May. But there are ponds, different ponds will spawn at, or hatch, or spawn, not hatch, because they're not hatching, they're spawning. Different ponds will spawn at different moons throughout the year. Yeah, I gotta, I really wanted to film more this year, but it just didn't work out. I didn't catch a real. I got there like apparently like we thought it was ending, but I think I got there a week early, and then it really blew up when I wasn't there. But a couple years before that, we did a stream, and unfortunately, I don't think we saved the one stream. We have one of them, but there was another stream we did. But I mean, I still have clips from some of them where I mean, it was like 40, 50 bass right next to the grass, and we got it all on stream. But I got to make a proper video on cinderworm hatches. We did a video on springtime striper fishing, a video on what do you call it? And then on the 3 essentially types of flies, whether it's floating, subsurface, or sinking flies. I was hoping to do a cinderworm one, but I might just end up doing like a summertime like mole crab fishing video with the fly rod. So I got to do another project video like that, but yeah, it didn't work out. Maybe we'll see. They usually happen in May or June, but I have seen them in July, for instance. But it's very dependent, saltwater worm, they're cyclical depending on the moon, the water, how healthy the bay is. So let's tie another one of those. The Li flies mole crab fly, mole fly, mole. The fish stay there. Can grab them with clousers after. Yeah, the fish will hang out. Like, they know what's up. I mean, we'll still fish the worm flies. I fished this articulated worm fly I have on my channel, my YouTube. And that's like my go-to now, because I'll literally be rolling a cigarette while my line is out there, and that thing is just going like this, like, and the fish will eat it. It's so sick. Fishing 315. Vice name, this is a Regal Revolution right here with a big game jaw. This is the Regal Revolution. Regal's the brand and Revolution is the make. Or the model, I guess is to say, not make. Yeah, it depends, right? It really does. The hatches are very dependent on various factors. Any recommendation on a cheap entry level with adjustable tilt and with rotation? Entry. Are you talking about a level, like actual level, for like construction? Or did you mean to type Vice? Sounds like you're actually talking about a level. I don't know. I'm terrible with construction. If I built a house, that son of a gun would be crooked. Alright, we're going to go orange with this one. So we got to tie one more of these and then we'll do the deer hair. But this is like a proof of concept right here, this thing. Li flies mole. No, Vice? Okay. Or cheap entry-level Vice with adjustable tilt and rotation. Regal has their entry-level model, which is the... God, what's the name of it? The Medallion, which I think is under 200 bucks. So, because we're talking like, you're going to need to spend at least probably like, what, for like, I would say a Peak might have some good options as well when it comes to an actual proper rotary vise. But you're going to be spending 120, 130, I think, bare minimum for like a proper, proper vise. Let me take a look here. Let's just go to like JS Fly Fishing or something. Jay Stockard. Let's go low to high. So these are your classic cheapo. Been selling them at Cabela's in a box for 50 bucks with scissors and other stuff for years, right? This is a Regal knockoff, by the way, which I know a couple people that I don't recommend this because I tie essentially for Regal unofficially. But I know people, this just style of vise, the Regal vise is so good and it lasts for so long. People have these from like 30 years ago and are still using them. But yeah, these suck. This is what I started with, something like this from Cabela's back in the day, and you're quickly over this real quick. So the next step up, for what I would say, I mean, Jay Stockert has their own brand, so I mean, these might be okay, but would be something like a Peak, right? So I mean, look, we're going from $100, it jumps to $180, and this is where I would just go with like a medallion vise right here for like $200. You can go with the Peak. I know the Peak rotary. We have a few folks that use these that are really good. I'm a Regal dude myself, so this is what I like. But this isn't not a proper rotary vise, though. I think, right? You can turn it, but it's not like you don't have the option like. But the good thing is you can adjust it up and down and. So you are missing like the function that I have with the Revolution, right? But something like a Peak, you'd be okay at that price. And then this is what I used for years before I switched to Regal. Was the Traveler, Renzetti Traveler. The price went up astronomically. I think they used to be $180 if I'm not wrong, back in the day. And I think you want a saltwater one, which is $300, which at $300 you're $80 away from a Revolution. I mean, look at that. A Revolution's $380. That's a really good price. Dude, I want this, the new monster head. I gotta tell Dawn to make me one. I have the big game right here. And now we're getting into the, you know, we got Dynakings. You got the Italian brand Stenofos. You got HMH. Right? Norvise. I had this. Shout out. This is an awesome company. It just wasn't my style. I tie lawn flies. The hook would be here. The material would be all the way back here. And then this function is completely useless because the material would like wrap around the Norvise. So. You say the Peak? Yeah, you're gonna spend around $200. So for a new vise, U.S. and I don't know what the shipping would be for you, but I'm sure you could find something European-wise that would be decent. But yeah, you know, it all depends whatever's in your budget, right? But you definitely would rather spend another. What, you know, it's worth spending another 30, 40, 50, 60 bucks, whatever it is, just to get that little extra, you know, I mean, these vices, if you're not tying commercially like me, they will last you an extremely long time. Like, you're gonna be tying on these things for years, never have any issues. Yeah, especially you're tying smaller stuff, you might be better off with something like that Peak or the Renzetti with the more traditional jaw instead of the Regal jaw, which is like constantly under pressure. And he uses grooves, so it could be a little restricting sometimes in hook sizes. For what I do, it's perfect because I don't mess with none of that trout stuff. You ain't gonna see me tying with a size 18. You put a size 18 in this vise and it'll explode. Literally, if it's not sitting right and it slips, the hook will shatter. That bulldog bite, baby. I was gonna do like a dog bark or something, like DMX, but I was like, ah, that's alright. I'm too tired for that. 5 odd to 22 on your Peak. Yeah, most of your like the Renzetti Travelers or the Peaks and stuff like that, they'll be able to handle most hooks in the range that you're going to be tying haze for your sea trout and stuff like that. But any big pike stuff, you're not going to be able to, like giant hooks, for sure. It could be limiting. But most people are in time with 8-aughts. I probably had my Regal for 18 years. Started tying streamers 15 years. Streamers 15 years old, trying to tie Popovix flies. We had very similar upgrowing, Black Sheep. I was a little younger. I started tying when I was like 8 or 9. And by the time I was like 10 or 11, I was full-blown psychopath fly tying. But I was talking to Chris from Saltwater Flies about it recently. He started in 95, but I think I started buying materials from him with the website. Started really going around 98, 99, saltwaterflies.com. And Pop Flies was one of the best investments of my life. I got it like when it was like pretty new. I forget when it came out, but yeah, dude, that was like, in my opinion, the golden age of striper, like fly fishing and fly tying. The fishing was amazing back then in the 90s. In the early 2000s, we had that boom in like striped bass population, and you had people like Popovix, and just everybody was pumping out striper flies and like super pumped on striper fishing. I would say today, though, there's almost, just due to social media, there's probably more people fishing and more, like, in overall, there's probably just as many people. But like back then, it was like super hype. Like everyone was like because the river runs through and whatnot, everybody was like in on fly fishing, and striper fishing like blew up back then. It was sick. Everyone that I met with a fly rod was saying, look at the Popovix book. Yeah, because he really revolutionized fly tying at the time. I mean, Bill Catherwood, arguably probably the first person to really approach fly tying for striped bass in a realistic way. Bob Popovix modernized and popularized the modern approach to striped bass fly tying. Right, that's a great like sentence for a video topic right there. Should write that down. Like that would be a great video. I would like to make a video on Bill Catherwood, because not many people know him, and he was doing what like Popovix did, but in the 50s essentially, right? But of course we got to do a video on Popovix. Rest in peace, you know, the dude, absolute, probably one of the most, if not the most influential fly tyer of all time for saltwater, in my opinion. You could say probably Lefty Kray's like the most influential fly fisher, just in terms of how many people he reached. I would say Popovix is like the most influential saltwater fly tyer overall. But, you know, before Popovix was really super well known, you know, it was like Lou Tabery. It was, you know, you had a lot of people that were doing this for a long time. Mark Sadati, you know what I mean? So it was interesting. You know, there's a lot of people that people don't know, you know what I mean? There's a lot of older guys that paved the way for people like Popovix. Right. But, you know, one day I'll get around to making some videos like that. That's like an expose or something. Not expose. Those are like documentary, almost like type 15, 20 minute long videos. They take a little while. I would like to get, and that sort of thing, like I'm going to get like, for instance, I already got a basic outline for a Bill Catherwood video, but I know there's some fly shop owners, some guides, professional fly tyers that I want to like get a short little interview or some quotes, or like talk on the phone and record it with their course permission for a video or something, for instance. Because most younger people don't know a lot of these guys who like literally paved the way, or like, you know, influenced Bob Popovix, for instance, to do what he did. Right. Oh, we're not doing the, hold on, we got to roll back. Roll it back. We're not doing the signature Li Flies ESTAZ technique, because we got, I was getting interested talking about Popovix. That's all right. Take 2 seconds. The Renzetti Master Vice Custom Olive Color 1927? What? That sounds like Able. You know, the Able reel manufacturer. Now we're getting into Able prices. They're like, would you like a trout powder coated color scheme on your pliers for $1,000? Do you drive a brand new Maserati? If no, then you probably can't afford it. So you're gonna have to get out of here, buddy. Sorry. Abel's always been like the rich guy brand. Alright. Actually, let me just do one wrap. I don't want to go too far forward because I want like the spacing on my ties to be really nice here. So just like tie it off here. I'm sure the striped bass really cares. Dude, I love this David Bowie knockoff song. This is like one of my favorite Epidemic Sound songs. It's like if somebody tried to recreate the Labyrinth on a short budget without David Bowie, but looked for somebody that's vaguely sounded like him. It would only be a little over an ounce for a solid gold. I use my woolly buggers in my reservoir because there's so many crayfish, but I just love the fluffy bottom hackle wrap it. Crayfish flies are fun. I just hope the vise comes with a weighted plate and solid gold. Yeah. We were asking about freshwater bass flies. You got anything for some freshwater bass? Oh yeah, dude, woolly buggers, Bujika. Use the same stuff used for trout flies, anything buggy, even nymphs, stuff like that. It will work as well, but just use like woolly buggers. You don't need anything fancy. Mark Sadati's favorite largemouth bass fly or smallmouth, whatever, is the rabbit strip jiggy. So. But literally any of your like bushy, buggy looking trout flies will work absolutely well. Especially something weighted, like with like cones or beads. Work phenomenally. Especially rabbit strips. I'd say anything with rabbit strip works so well for largemouth. You don't need anything fancy for largemouth, to be honest with you. Don't need anything too fancy. They're not super picky. It's about like presentation a lot of times with them, because they eat so many different things. I don't even think they know what they're eating half the time. They just might even be aggressing with certain stuff. Right. Yeah, dude, just whip open your trout box and look for like big, woolly bugger looking stuff. Stuff with rubber legs and beads on it. You know what I mean? And throw that stuff. That's how a lot of people started largemouth bass fishing. Was like they probably just couldn't go trout fishing, and they went to a watering hole and they just took their trout flies and started catching largemouth back in the day. They were like, hey, these work pretty good. And then they started developing more, in tune stuff, but all that stuff works fine. Oh dude, we didn't put eyes on this one. Let's do the eyes. Oops. I'm gonna go heavier on this one. Nah. Yeah, we'll go heavy on this one. No, I'll save that for the deer hair. Throwing plastic on the bait casters, yeah. Yeah, good. I'm glad you take the treble hooks off, because treble hooks are terrible. Do you know Saltwater Edge over in Rhode Island? You got to, right? They have an initiative where, like, if you take your treble hooks off, they give you free single hooks. I hate treble hooks. I wish treble hooks were illegal for striper fishing. Nothing like hooking a big old 30, 40 pounder in the mouth with like 6 hooks, ripping it open. They hold fish, but you know, at what cost? And also, they will hold your hand if you hook yourself. You're gonna have to go to the emergency room to get that sucker out. You ain't cutting that out by yourself. Only vise I found under 450 is Dan vise, fly time vise, which is rotary and adjustable angle. Really? No, I think shouldn't one of those peaks be that way as well? They're rotary and you can adjust the angle up and down, I thought. I mean, the Regal Revolution's cheaper than that. Regal Revolution's is 389. Get a Regal. I thought we just figured out though that maybe the peak isn't fully adjustable up and down in terms of like tilting, like this vise can. What you're referring to? Finish it off with one more bunch here for the profile. And there we go, the Albi flies mole crab fly. White and tan. We could also do a gray, maybe, or something. And put pink on the gray one. Shout out, Southern Fly Guy. Yeah, I gotta start building a catalog of flies if I'm gonna start my own website. Try and cover my bases. I would also like to appeal to people in like Florida or, you know, South Carolina, North Carolina, redfish, that sort of stuff, tarpon. And I'm definitely going to be doing roosterfish stuff. There you go. I like it. I wonder if that ESTAZ will hurt or help our cause in trying to catch a mole crab. I mean, trying to catch a straight bass. You know what I mean? Get a close up. Yeah, catching carp on a fly is tough, dude. On purpose, without using like a corn fly, or a piece of corn or bread. Like catching them sight fishing is not easy. I've tried it. I've only caught them accidentally or putting vanilla extract on nymphs. Shout out to South Fork Salt. Yes, you can sight fish for carp. I watched a dude give a presentation on it. In the Great Lakes in particular, they do it. Have you watched Becoming Led Zeppelin? No, I haven't, no. I haven't had a Netflix account or like a cable. I haven't had like traditional media accounts or subscriptions in so long, Jen. I should check it out. My parents have a Netflix account, but in New Jersey we had so many ponds, and only the only large things to go for, they get huge. The Regal Traveler vise. Oh, the Regal Traveler 315. Regal Traveler? Or are you talking about the Renzetti Traveler? The regular Regal vices hold trout hooks perfectly fine. This is a big game head. They have the regular head. They hold trout hooks perfectly fine. One of the guys that I got in touch with recently at one of the fly shows who was there as a rep for Regal, all he does is tie small trout flies, and he was using a Regal, so. Regular Regals are made to tie, like, trout flies up to, like, your normal streamers, right? this is a big game jaw, which is slotted to fit much larger hooks. So regular Regal will work perfectly fine for any trout flies or anything like that. $22 to 1 odd, it says, but makes no sense to me. It's probably because they have 2 grooves on the Regal. If you're talking about the Renzetti Traveler, then it just has a knob that you adjust the size, and the jaws collapse. Regals have grooves on them. A smaller groove in the front, a bigger one in the back, and they fit different size hooks, but they generally encompass quite a wide variety. A broad size per groove. I only use the front groove on my vise, and it holds from a size 4 tight reliably up to a size like 6 odd, 7 odd, 8 odd with this particular head. You got the Norvise? Nice. Let me know, but I actually have extra spools. If you want to buy a set of extra bare spools, you let me know. I sold everything else on eBay or Instagram, but I forgot to sell that. Because what you do is you're actually supposed to spool your own spools of thread with a Norvise and their bobbin system. So if you do want, I have extra spools, you let me know. I found them the other day. I was like, oh yeah, I have like brand new spools. I guess the idea is you put your own thread on it, and they have a bobbin system with like, it has its own like mechanism, so it stays taut until you pull up, or you pull down and then it pulls up. It's like interesting. It's got a whole mechanism. It was cool. I like the Norvise for tying big saltwater flies and tying hundreds of them. I don't think it would work properly for me. I tried it though. And I even had the owner of like Norvise reach out and asked if everything was okay. And I was like, yeah, your vise is fantastic. It's just for the type of fly tying that I do, it just doesn't work, unfortunately. For commercial, especially. The auto bobbin. Yep. All right, cool. I got extra spools. I'll hit you up on Discord at some point. I'll let you know. All right, so I got deer belly. We're going to tie one more version here. I'm going to use jumbo lead eyes for this one. This makes me want to go to the beach one of these days and go fly fishing, so we should do that. Now that we tied mole crabs. Just gotta buy a drone like South Fork Salt, and then I'll be able to see where all the fish are. 22 is teeny though. God, 22s, no thank you. Unless we're talking about popping off some 22s at the range, it might be fun. My buddy had a decked out sporter, Ruger 1022. All tactical, that was fun to shoot, but I always like bigger caliber if you ask me. Nice 223 or something. Yeah, he stepped on a stingray. Luckily, he didn't, South Fork Salt, luckily he didn't get the actual spine and the tail. He just like he stepped on like a spiky bit on the back. But that, what do they call it? The barb in the tail. If you get that sucker in you, whew. And these stingrays are not, I don't know what size he stepped on, but these stingrays, he was showing videos of it, and these are ones that I've seen people hook at the bridge. You'll see them on the flats, and striped bass will follow them. They're like 150 pounds. They are, I mean, I'm talking about literally bigger than like, they're wider than my bed. You know what I mean? Like huge, huge stingrays. Like oceanic stingrays. They eat a lot of people's bait while they're fluke fishing and stuff. No, this is in the Atlantic Ocean. Yeah, if you look up South Fork Salt on Instagram, shout out to my buddy Timmy. Who we talk about on the channel a lot. We've also, he's, you know, we've shown some of his content before in some of my videos. You'll see it on his Instagram. He shows drone footage of the giant stingrays in the surf. So you got to be careful when you're past a certain depth, really. So we are going to use some marabou on this. I like the whole marabou idea. Now we're going to be spinning deer hair, essentially, but we're essentially mostly going to be focusing the material on top, trimming it really short on the belly. I don't think the wrapping of the ESTAZ would be good here, because when we're spinning the deer hair, you know, on top or tying it, we're just going to be more pinching it and tying it instead of spinning it. You know, we're really not going to be able to do that. But what we can do is take some of this like orange EP fiber and tie that on the belly for some color. But I am going to go with some marabou here. I do like the marabou transition. So on the other side of things, I upgraded my gaming / editing PC because I actually had issues. One of the reasons why I was supposed to do a video last week, but I had issues. My PC was crashing, and I replaced the SSD, which is like what all of my Windows operating system was on and all of my software for all my stuff, with one of my Samsung SSDs. Still was having issues, so maybe it was like I had like too many games on there too as well, or something, or too many videos. So I got a terabyte SSD, plugged that in, so now I have a terabyte and a 500 gig SSD for storage, and moved mostly everything over to the terabyte storage and took most off the SSD with the Windows operating system. And then what do you call it? I also I upgraded my RAM. I had two 8 gigabyte sticks of RAM, and I got two 16 gigabyte sticks. So now we have a total of 32 gigabytes as opposed to 16 gigabytes of RAM, which just the RAM essentially offloads the stuff that the CPU is doing, so the CPU can save some of its computing power or whatever, processing power. So now it's working good, because I was having issues while editing and like having like a graphic pop up, you know, for a title or something, or certain things, or gaming as well. It would just like wouldn't blue screen, but it would like freeze up, make a noise, like if I was playing a game or I was editing, the sound would make a weird noise, not the physical hardware, and then the thing would just crash, or it would just be stuck like that, and I'd have to hard reset. So I was checking temperatures, coolers, this and that. I hopefully figured it out. Hopefully it was like the RAMs was screwing up. So we'll see. But I've been troubleshooting that for a while now, so I think I fixed it, but only time will tell. So I guess we'll see. No matter what, having more RAM is never a bad thing for a computer, so. Because the PC is still good, the graphics card's okay, the CPU is still good. It's good enough for what it is. I'm not gonna need to upgrade for another year or two, but this stuff it's pretty crazy, especially with video editing and stuff like that, or gaming. Like this stuff advances quickly. You know what I mean? But you also want them to flesh out their problems, because they just had to like release the 5000 series of graphics cards, 5090s, 5080s. People are paying like $3,000, and they're like not even running right. So what really screwed over the whole graphics card market was Bitcoin farming. Really, crypto mining, like, makes it impossible to try and build a nice computer nowadays. But anyway, that's what's been going on in the background on my end. But Tarkov just wiped. They did a hardcore wipe, and for anyone that's watched a while, I used to play Tarkov, so I dove in a little bit and played a couple rounds for fun. But I was playing Scum, which is like a more modernized DayZ with bases, and built the base out of car and stuff. I've been doing a little gaming. I've been doing a lot of retro gaming. I got an Amberneck RG40 handheld device, and I've been playing Column Decay's Rally from PS or PlayStation 1 on there. I'm almost done with Chrono Trigger, because I've never played that, for SNES. Metroid like Fusion or Metroid Prime on Game Boy Advance. So it's awesome having like a sick Metroid or retro device. I can just put ROMs on there. Alright, so we're not going to full-blown spin the deer hair. Because if we tie the material on the belly, then this is going to help inhibit the fly turning over. So we're going to tie it on top, and you can achieve that by, this is a classic technique with spinning deer hair. Let's say you're trying to get certain colors, like you're tying a very intricate deer hair spun frog or something like that, or like these fish, like Pat Cohen fly or something like that, right? Where you would see like certain colors, and what you do is you pinch the material so it doesn't spin, so it stays where you want it. So that's essentially what we're doing right now. Did you play Night Rain? I didn't beat any of the newer like redos. I haven't played any of them, but we beat all the original ones. That was a lot of fun. And I finally played Elden Ring after years of not playing it, and I had a fantastic time. Because I'm not a big Souls guy. I always see the flies and wondered for the longest time, how do people shave the bodies? Yeah, I trim it with scissors, but people generally use razor blades. Dude, Night Rain is hella fun. It's like speed running Elden Ring bosses. It's sick. You like the PvP? Okay. I couldn't get into Souls PvP. It's more like a single player game for me, but reminds me I need to sell my Game Boy Classic, which is an original box with ads, pamphlets, manuals, and headset plus Tetris. Woo! We're talking about the brick Game Boy. Like the original gigantic brick one with Tetris. I have a Game Boy Color, a purple one. My original one long gone, but I think I had the clear purple case Game Boy Color back in the day as well. But I have that, and Game Boy, I have a Pokemon Blue, and that's all you need. You can actually get a rebuilt, like refurbished Game Boy now for like $20-$30. At least it was like 5-6 years ago. But that sounds like that's a original in box or whatever, right? Or full in box or whatever they call it. The brick. Yeah, the gigantic one. Oh, yeah, dude. Huge. I mean, I'm talking about that Game Boy was, like, huge. That was my first one. It was my brother's. It was a hand-me-down. Or half-brothers. What's going on, Brandon? How you doing? I hope everything's been going good. Everything's been good on my end. Like I said, doing a little gaming, fly tying. We've been clamming. Taking it easy. I haven't been doing much fishing, but that's fine. I'll get to it. Sega Game Gear. Cool. Yeah, I had the Game Boy. My first console was a Genesis. Absolutely loved it. Sonic, Golden Axe, all that. Then I got a 64, which I loved. I think I had a PlayStation 1 before the 64, and I got a 64 later. And then Xboxes was where I went down the road. Should go for about $440. Psh, there you go. There's a Vice right there. But that's also an original Game Boy in the box. But, I mean, that would be sick to have, just hold on to, but it also is like, you know, kind of nice to sell, isn't it? And D's Outdoors Adventures, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. Was an Atari, really? Very cool. We did have like, I think we had an Atari, like an old one. Probably stopped working or something, but. And a hand-me-down from like my brother, or we even just like found it in the house when we moved into this house in like 95, was like an original Nintendo. Not the Super Nintendo, but just a Nintendo with Mario or Super Mario Bros, whatever the first like original game was. Where the second level is you drop down into that like grayish color, you know what I'm talking about. And then it had Duck Hunter, you know, that double combo. And I think we either had it in the house or I got it from my brother, my half-brother, and it was a hand-me-down. But that was like all I had was that Duck Hunt and the Mario. And that was like my first, and it was with the screw-in where you had to screw into the TV. I forgot the connector, what that's called. But I had a tiny like tube, little like 8-inch TV in my room that I played on with that. Yeah, Mario 3 is sick. Yeah, that original Mario with Duck Hunt. That was a classic. Shit, I didn't pinch this enough. There we go. Make sure we trim that properly. So we're just pinching and spinning, quote unquote, the deer hair on top. I was going to add orange on the belly, but it's fine. We could take an orange marker and color that thread on the belly and then hit the whole thing with UV resin anyway to make it durable. So our eyes are moving a little bit. Let's secure those eyes a little better then. Now, whenever I work around these lead eyes, I tie it right behind the eyes, figure 8 in front, and then move up and tie and pinch and tie that, because you don't want a gap where the eyes are. It's kind of tough, but you figure it out after a while. N64 Zelda still, dude. Majora's Mask and all those games are fantastic. I haven't. Of course, I have all of my original games downloaded. I've now ripped them on then the ROMs onto my PC, and that's where I'm getting all these ROMs. Wink, wink, wink. Right, Nintendo? You don't want them to send snipers. But I got to get a bunch of ROMs for my RG40 and load it up with 64. It can play up to like PSP or Dreamcast. It was like 60, 70 bucks. So if you want to play like PlayStation 2, you want to emulate that sort of stuff, you're going to have to like spend it like 200 bucks almost on like a Retroid Pocket or some of these other Ambernick devices, whatever. Or you step it up to a Steam Deck, right? And you just go balls to the wall. Or like one of the best handheld devices. But for the most part, I mean, just playing PlayStation 1 games, dude, is such a trip down memory lane, and there's so many good PlayStation 1. I'm playing Dino Crisis 2. Like, what a banger that is. It's a little rudimentary in its controls and stuff, but like some of these games are so good. There was something about Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask that still sits with me. I mean, those games were eerie. Like, some of the parts of those games are like wild as a kid. You're like experiencing them, like the music, the ambiance, and the way the game design is, and the story. It was very interesting. Like, it was, if you didn't have a game guide too, or you didn't have a friend that knew what you were doing, good luck. You'd probably never get anywhere in half those games. But used to be a system called Intellivision, and it was like the Cadillac of gaming in the 80s. I think I've heard of it. The device I have has a lot of those like sort of systems, like super like retro systems, and has like a ton of games, also a ton of arcade games they come preloaded with and stuff. All right, so a mole crab. I'm gonna trim the shell of the mole crab right now, and I'm just gonna trim with like an arc, essentially is how I'm doing it, to try and trim the shell, right? And I'll worry about the shape on the sides after. The whole idea is we kind of want to simulate that round shell of the mole crab. The deer hair will cause it to flip over, and the lead eyes will cause it to sink, is the whole idea, essentially, with a fly like this. This is essentially how you tie it. Super simple. You take this, you tie this on a jig hook, you got money. The tackle shop owner wants me to do it, but I'm like, I'm not tying jigs. This works well on a beach? Yeah, you could definitely catch permit with something like this. That's what I'm saying. There are flies, there are like permit flies with stuff like this. There are other flies that, this is where I think Timmy got his inspiration from with tying this pattern. And I'm not even, I don't even remember how he ties his. So I don't know if, I didn't necessarily try to tie his fly. but I just used his like mole crab as like an inspiration. It's like I said, there were people that tied these sort of flies way before me or him ever started doing this stuff. But Tim has a lot of experience fishing the surf and living right on the surf, so I would listen to what he says. The man knows his stuff. Yeah, it's super simple. I mean, it really isn't all that wild. It's not even a good looking fly, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't need to be, because it's supposed to just kind of look like the carapace of a of a crab, the sand flea, that is. That looks like bagworm from Arbor Vitae. I don't know what that is, but sure, sounds cool. Have you made a lure from trash? Yeah, we take a lot of leftover materials from our basket here and tie flies with them. But I don't use like plastic trash or something like that, because I try not to use, like, for instance, certain stuff like that. You know what I mean? And put that in the water. But the old bagworm, huh? The old bagworm from Costco. But the whole idea is it's going to sit like that. It's going to look like the carapace or shell of the sand flea or mole crab. And it's going to be tumbling around. The deer hair is going to cause it to kind of want to float, but the lead eyes are going to force it to sink. So it's going to be like rolling in the surf, essentially. You can 100% use German Shepherd fluff. The leftover dog hair fluff that's probably all over your house. You can 100% use that for flies. Yeah. You should. In fact, you 100% should, because it's probably more environmentally conscious than buying more materials. And it's free. Is he the right color, though? You gotta just match the right, maybe make some gnats. Look like submerged? It looks very similar, because the deer hair doesn't have any give to it. But the little rubber legs will move around, essentially, so. If you want a good video on it, check out South Fork Salt. He has videos of tying this sort of fly, but fishing it as well, and you can kind of, I don't think he has footage of it in the water, but you'll see him catching striped bass. We'll make a video on sand fleas and the fishing and stuff like that here soon. I got to get out there. I'm going to have to bring cameras with me. I'll probably need to bring a tripod. And now here's the thing. We have a ton of people out on the beaches now. So I got to go super early at sunrise before all these people go and set up with their umbrellas and are drinking White Claws and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Mike, oh, I'm sorry, Brandon. I missed it. Mike, I have a strange kind of question. Have you ever caught a dogfish on the fly? Yeah, of course, dude. I think I've caught one. I've definitely seen my buddies catch them before. You'll be fishing around bunker pods. It's always out in the ocean. Generally, they eat bait, right? But they will eat a fly. So we see dogfish on the flats. We'll see them generally closer to inlets with moving water. But you 100% can catch a dogfish on a fly. I think I've caught one once before. If not, I saw somebody catch one on the fly. It's been a really long time, but you catch them while fluke fishing all the time by accident with bait. You've caught a bunch. You caught them on the fly. Yeah, they will eat lures and flies. So I don't remember if I've caught one in particular, dude. It's been so long. There's been so many random stuff. Deer hair is hollow, so it's possibly a topwater lure. True, but the big old lead eyes will cause it to sink in particular. And the main idea is you want to use something like an intermediate or a sinking line or a sink tip for something like this. What you're going to do is you're going to be fishing the beaches or the troughs. We have these troughs and these big sandy beaches here on Long Island or on the East Coast. What happens is the water recedes and these sand fleas or these mole crabs, which are in the sand, you'll feel them with your feet a lot of times if you're in the bay. We used to catch them as kids. We would dig our hands into the sand at the beach, at the ocean. We'd pull them out. These get tumble down the beach as the waves recede into the holes or the troughs, because our beaches are very steep here in New York, and they're fairly deep right by the water, right by the edge. So you get these like holes or troughs from the way that the water and the way that the sediment settles. And the striped bass will come in with the waves, and they'll sit in the troughs, and they'll eat the sand fleas and then go back out and stuff like that. It's very interesting. So a fly like this, you'll fish with like an intermediate line, probably like a fairly long leader with like fluorocarbon, and you're going to let it tumble in the surf and wash down. It's not even that deep where you're fishing as well. So, but you do want, with this deer hair one, you either want to trim it enough. I'm confident that this size dumbbell eye can flip it over. These are pretty heavy lead eyes for a size 1 hook. But for instance, if it was like floating too much random, I would trim it some more or use heavier dumbbell eyes. But something like this is like what I would fish with the most, right? The Li Fly's patented mole fly, which is used as synthetic, so it's a little bit easier for it to sink, like more traditional sort of crab fly. Somebody call Umpqua. Tell him to write the check. You know what I'm talking about? I want to see the Cape Cod Canal one time. Also, at the end of the year, does anyone fly fish that? Or from what I heard, you kind of have to be crazy to fly fish it. People get into fist fights. If you're not from around there, they'll slash your bicycle tires. Yeah, it also is just wild. The current is so, from what I've talked to people that went there, and I'm like, dude, I want to go fly fishing. They're like, the current is so strong there that it's really tough. Like, you would need like an 11 weight and the fish could be 40, 50 pounds or something. Like, if those giant fish move through. So you can do it, but you probably want like strong enough equipment too, just in general, like a 10 weight. You know what I mean? So all I know is, like, from an outsider who doesn't live in Massachusetts, the reputation is, if you go to Cape Cod Canal, like, it's very like closed off to outsiders. This is from what I've heard, and that what do you call it? It's like it can get super hectic when it's busy, and the fishing's really good. So, but hey, Jin lives in Massachusetts. He fly fishes there. There's also Cape Cod Canal, right? It's like pretty long, isn't it? So there's probably certain areas where you're more suitable for fly fishing than others. Oh yeah, Pulaski. It's like Montauk. So Montauk here at the end of Long Island. Back in the day when I was growing up, during the fall, you would have people from New Jersey all over that would come and sleep in their cars, and there'd be some really wild people. People would be fist fighting over striped bass and over rocks. They'd be fighting. They would be hitting each other with fly rods. I mean, not with fly rods, with surf rods and plugs. Like, it's like that sort of thing. It's very similar to like Pulaski, where it's like combat fishing is the way I would describe it. I don't know if the canal's like that. Probably when it's busy, it is, I would imagine. But maybe not. But Montauk was straight up like combat fishing back in like those times. I don't know if it's still like that. But when I was growing up, and I was a kid, and I had dudes curse me out for letting go like a 30 for like a 20-pound, 25-pound striped bass. You what are you doing, you stupid I'm like a 12-year-old kid. They're like, I would have kept that fish. I'm like, dude, from Jersey. You know what I mean? If I was an adult, they would have fought me over that fish. They would have been like, what are you doing? I drove from New Jersey, you son of a bitch. Give me that fish. You know, like, I just remember seeing the wildest stuff back then. But I think it's probably calmed down. But, dude, yeah, in the, like, 90s and, like, 2000s, during peak striper fishing, Montauk was wild. There's a flat you can wait out and cast on the canal edge. There you go. Jin's got the secrets, so you're going to have to wait till he releases his book on Massachusetts fly fishing. Yeah, I don't know. Fishing ain't what it was, dude. Who knows? We'll see what it is. I'm trying to stay optimistic, but conservation's huge. Support Saltwater Guide Association. Stripers forever. These things are important. Yeah. If not, we'll end up in a moratorium one day. I know people say it'll never happen, but you'd be surprised. They've done it before. Yo, what's going on, Redneck Loving Life? How you doing, dude? Hope everything's going well. I was born in 87, so I know exactly what you're saying. Yeah. you got a couple more years of better fishing than me, because I was too young to fully appreciate it in the early 90s. And you talk to the old guys, and they're like, dude, they're like, the fishing in pre-moratorium, but when it was still good, and then after the moratorium, like there were peak striper times where it's so good, dude. It was so good. You ever tie a mole crab with a flank feather as the carapace? No, but that's a great idea, William Warren. I don't have that, but if we had a mallard, for instance, a mallard flank is what he's referring to, and that's another great way. There's a Alan Calejo fly I'll show you that uses that. What you're referring to. Now, this guy is kind of like really pioneered sight fishing for striped bass, or didn't pioneer it, but he wrote a book on it. So that's all I know. But I know Mark is friends. And he also told me how to pronounce this guy's name, and I still am not. Alan Caleo or something? Alan Callo? I'll never say it right. Mark told me how to say it, and I completely forgot. A lot of the people that were really like Paul Dixon here, and there were dudes in Massachusetts that in the 90s were really getting into sight fishing. So something like this, like a pink lady, this doesn't have it, but I've seen them tie versions where what you would do is feathers off the back, heavy eyes, and you see these are like painted, right? Which is nice. I would get like, this is the sort of eyes I'm going to get for something like this. Feathers off the back, you palmer or do something feathery or marabou, whatever you want here for the body, and then you take a mallard flank and you tie it on top. I could have swore he had a fly. It might not be in here. It just might be a fly I've seen. I've seen people tie something. This is also another one, like he had like a lady crab. This is a crab fly, and it's literally just a half and half that he tied with like pinks and whites. Doesn't need to necessarily be a perfect crab round shape. A lot of it has to do with how he presents the fly and stuff like that. Very good book. I don't know, you'll probably never be able to find it in print. Or you probably won't be able to find it. It's probably hundreds of dollars or something, like every other book I always end up recommending. Somebody's like, I cannot buy this. Don't recommend it. But the Sight Fish for Striped Bass, Alan Caleo. Or Cialo. Fantastic book. Which I'm so envious, man. He shows, like, look, I mean, you'll see, like, in Massachusetts, Jin, you should be doing this, brother. You have flat beaches, or flatter beaches. So you can see the fish in the surf. That's a fish right there, the shadow. We don't have that opportunity. And even in the bay here, somebody was asking me where to fly fish and sight fish in the bay. It is so tough, man. You really need to go to offshore flats in the bay where you get moving water and stuff. But our beaches are so steep here in Long Island, you can't see like that. But yeah, so that's what I would do, Worm. That's what I would do, Will. I would take the feathers off, the little feathers off the back. Good, I'm glad you do. Oh, good, I'm happy. I just got to double check. Feathers off the back, palmer some feathers, and then take your mallard flank and cut a V in it or something. Do something, or tie it to where it's short enough to where it's sitting on top. I've seen somebody do that before. I forget who. Can you make me a fly that I can record snook or red on, please? What do you mean? Can I make you one? You want to buy flies, or do you want to see how to tie one, or what? You just don't catch anything? Well, that's like me sight fishing for sure. Oh, you want to catch a record? Yeah, we could potentially, if you're interested. You can always hit me up on Instagram, LA Flies Mike, or in our Discord or something like that, and I could tie you some flies or something. For snook or reds, I don't know what you normally use, like crabs, or you're looking for bait fish sort of imitations. I could tie you EP flies. I mean, to be honest, most flies are generally somewhere around like $8 to $10 or something like that. Those are my prices for these sort of size flies, but you know, crab flies are around $8. You start getting into like smaller kinky muddler flies or something, and 2 odds we're talking like, you know, $10, $12, something like that. But you can hit me up on Instagram or Discord if you're interested in ordering something. We can chat. I like this Italian guy flies. I PM'd you a link if you want some guides to different sea trout flies. Can be used on bigger hooks too at your own risk. Oh, for black sheep, there you go. Well, you know, the commercial fishing does make a difference, but also as somebody who's started doing like some commercial bunker fishing and learning about the industry and all that, it definitely has to do a lot with not only there's commercial fishing and there's certain practices that aren't good, but commercial fishing in general isn't the bad thing. It's there's a big issue with recreational fishing as well, with catch and release and the mortality of fish as well. And not only that, like these charter boats, you know, where they catch these giant big striped bass, they don't even stop the boat with the umbrella rigs. The fishes, then they take like 30 photos and throw it back. There's a lot of shit like that we need to fix as well and bring attention to, not just commercial fishing. So there's a lot of factors that are involved. And then we have environmental factors from spawning grounds and whether or not the areas are polluted. And then we have factors of bait and whether or not menhaden are overfished by things like the Omega Corporation in Chesapeake, whether or not there's bait down there for the spawning stripers, whatever, in the rivers. There's many different, striped bass have a lot of hurdles against them, so we got to do whatever we can to, you know, definitely help. So, but it's not just commercial fishing, so we can't just blame commercial fishing. Us as recreational anglers are also to blame for the current downfall of striped bass fishing. So people don't like to take the blame, but I mean, we all see it. If you go fishing for striped bass, you will see people that just straight up are killing a fish by the way they handle it. A lot of people still hold fish by the gills too. So people hold them by the lips, 40-pounders, and they don't support the body. I mean, what happens to that fish afterwards? Like, let's be honest, you know what I mean? Its entire weight is held from that lower jaw on the fish. So there's a lot that needs to be done. But not only that, definitely there needs to be better regulation of striped bass fishing overall. So, what is this in the Discord? Nerd posted.
Don't mind me. Just
No, I
getting
didn't.
my emotes back.
Nerd, I didn't make that for Regular or something like that. No. It looks like somebody made a teaser or a lure or something, but that wasn't me. Whoever posted that in the Discord. No, I didn't make that. Nope. Looks cool, though. It's a cool little teaser. I don't know who made that, though. It's a rig. Yeah, I don't know. Somebody was making like lures or something at some point. I don't know. There's been many people that have done stuff like this on Twitch over the years. I'm going to clean up my desk. We're starting to wrap up here, folks. We're probably going to wrap up the stream, and I'm going to make some food and whatnot. I hope everybody's had an awesome night and enjoyed. Yo, Frosty, did I miss it? Coming in with the 43 months. Yo, thank you, brother. Don't mind me, just getting my emotes back. That's right. That is right. That is right. Thank you, brother. Appreciate it. I'll probably hop in Discord here in a little bit when the stream's done. Let me just clean up my desk here. I always like cleaning up before I end the stream. Otherwise, I might never do it. But thank you so much, chat. I hope you guys have an awesome night. And everyone has an awesome weekend. I'm just going to be hanging out. I got flies to tie. So I'm going to be doing that. For some guides and people and fly shops. I actually went and recently went to the doctors after years of not going, and I got a couple little things like my blood pressure's a little high, my blood sugar's a little high, my cholesterol. I actually went to the and he's like, go to a cardiologist too. There's this guy over here close. He's like, yeah, you know, everything's looking good. You're pretty good, but your cholesterol is a little high, and we want to make sure we don't have like too many platelets or plaque or something. And so I'm gonna go get like a CAT scan soon. They're gonna inject something in my blood and make sure all my arteries are good. But so just a little background info on that. So I've been doing some doctor things and whatnot, but hopefully everything's been pretty good so far. I haven't gone for years and years. So, but next week I got a lot of that. I gotta go and just some hospitals and stuff and do some basic stuff like that. But anyways, I hope you folks have an awesome weekend. I'm gonna be just chilling. We got a new video that'll be coming out soon. I gotta work on it because I had to work on my PC and get that fixed. So, but yeah, well, we'll see. I'm sure everything will be all right. It's the main thing is he's like, stop eating cheese. I'm like, Roger, you got it. You know, when your cardiologist says chill out on the cheese, okay, Roger. So, but all right, chat. Thank you so much for hanging out. Thank you again, Frosty, for the 43 months. No, I know it's been tough. I eat so much cheese, but that's maybe one of the issues. Bujika, thank you again, and Brew as well. You guys are awesome. Hey, Will, you have an awesome weekend as well. Thanks for hanging out, brother. Random, Brandon, D's Outdoors Adventures, Fishing, Jay, of course. Southern Fly Guy, thank you so much for hanging out. Black Sheep, thanks for spending time with us. Redneck Loving Life, thanks for stopping by. If you do have any questions, you can always hit me up on Discord. Hayes, hopefully you figure out that Vice situation. You let us know. But Neves, thank you. You guys have an awesome weekend, and get out there and get some fresh air. Do some fishing, all right? I'll try and do the same soon. So, all right, chat. We'll see you later.